This is a conversation with Dima Gazda, who is the CEO and co-founder at Esper Bionics. Esper Bionics makes an FDA certified prosthetic hand, and they've won a number of awards, such as the Red Dot Award in 2022, which is kind of like the Oscars for product design. I really enjoyed this interview, and there seems to be a lot of exciting work going on at Esper Bionics. I especially thought it was interesting to hear Dima's perspective on the future of bionics and how he thinks we'll slowly get there. I also think Esper Bionics is a great company to follow if you're interested in the bionics space. I'm Audrow Nash. This is the Sense Think Act podcast. Thank you to our founding sponsor, Open Robotics. And now here's my conversation with Dima Gazda. Hi, Dima. Would you introduce yourself?
Hi, Audrow. Thank you for having me here. I'm a medical doctor, electronic engineer, and entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now I'm a CEO and co-founder at Esper Bionics.
Awesome. And tell me about Esper Bionics.
Esper Bionics is an engineering company. We are developing the next level robotic prosthesis,
Mm-hmm.
software driven. We are team of 20 distributed.
What is
Uh,
that? Say it again.
Distributed, like part of our team is in New York,
Hmm.
part in Berlin, and part in Kiev. And we have developed the product that is already in the US market. We are working with close group of users right now, kind of beta test. The product is FDA registered. We can sell it in the US, and uh, we are here. So right now, I'm in our New York office in Brooklyn. We are in Navy Yard
Mm-hmm.
with many other hardware companies, and we are having here clinical activity and business activity mainly.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is your product? How would you describe it?
So that is a complex solution for hand amputees, for people without hands, and it consists of separate products. First is robotic hand itself. It's a palm with fingers that is robotic product, movable machinery,
Mm-hmm.
moves fingers, has six
And
motors
it's
inside.
similar to the human hand looking. Like it has the four fingers. They have each of them the three segments, and then you have that kind of the opposable thumb.
Yeah, like this. But for in fingers, by the way, we have two segments right now. Like
Oh, two
middle,
segments.
yeah. So two segments. I mean, like uh, um,
Two actuated segments.
yeah. I mean, like uh, we have biological finger consists of three phalanx, and we
Mm-hmm.
have two phalanx. We uh, uh, like
Oh, I
connected
see.
are they they don't have joint, movable joint.
So
So two
you
segments.
basically have the finger broken into two sections that
Yes,
close.
yes, yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
And probably awesome. So instead of like a human hand, which has we have the three joints on every one finger, or the two joints for three segments, you have one joint for two segments.
Yes, the joint is not so active, and uh, it's better to go this way to make more durable product that
Mm.
will work for years.
And it's much simpler. So fewer moving pieces makes it last longer, lowers
Yeah.
cost. A lot of benefits, I would imagine.
Yes, that is.
Okay, so you have four fingers, and those fingers each have two joints. Is each joint independently actuated? Like, can I close the end of it, or is it one actuator per finger? Because you have the joint at the intersection of the finger and the palm, and then you have a joint in the
Yes.
middle of the finger. Are they both
Yes.
separately actuated?
Um, they have one actuator, and so they are connected.
Mm-hmm.
When one moves, another also will move.
Mm-hmm.
And in a palm, we have 6 motors, so one motor per finger and two
Mm-hmm.
motor for thumb.
Gotcha.
Thumb has abduction, adduction, and flexion, extension.
Mm. So does that mean that the thumb can touch the point of any of the fingers, or because it can move with
Yes,
abduction and then the other one that you said?
yes, that is possible.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you said six motors. That's just the hand. Are any of the motors, is it fully actuated, or is there like a spring so you can kind of compliantly pick up things, or how does it work?
So you can flex each finger uh, mm, till the end, and they each finger extends by spring, can
Mm.
come back by
Oh, that's
spring,
clever.
and each finger has, because of this design, each finger has kind of passive. There is ability to flex each finger passively. I mean, uh, when user hits some object or just want to for a while to put fingers like this, it's possible just to flex them. It's not possible to extend them, but it's possible to flex them passively.
Gotcha. And so for that, because you can flex them passively, and there's a little bit of like impedance from the spring that's pulling the finger away, opening the hand, um, does it make it so you can kind of modulate how much pressure you're putting? So if I'm picking up, I don't know, like an eggshell or something like this, or an egg or something very like possible of breaking. Um, but say I wanted to pick up an egg, would that work? And then if I wanted to say put more pressure to crunch the egg, not that you want to make gooey fingers, but
You can mm, you can adjust strengths by control system. I mean, like by activating your muscles uh,
mm,
higher or lower, and
oh, that's so cool.
yeah, and we can detect pressure on fingertips not by sensors on fingertips, but by sensors of current. So we
Hmm.
detect current that motor
Is in the motors,
gets get yeah.
the back EMF or whatever it is, maybe. Okay, that's really cool. So you allow the person can move each of these fingers. You have the six motors, so there's 6 degrees of freedom. And you're very clever in that if they're not squeezing it, the spring pulls it open. So that makes it so you don't have to have two for every single joint, two control system or two inputs, two signals for it. And I imagine that's important for, and I mean like when you're controlling the thing, I imagine you're using muscle activation and like the electrical potential that is created when someone flexes a muscle. Would you talk more about this?
The hand can work with many different control systems, and
Mm-hmm.
we have our own control system that can detect which muscle exactly was activated in forearm or shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And the hand can work with other control systems on the markets. Like the most popular is the system dual-side electrode system that detects activation of flexors extensors, two big groups of muscles that are
Okay.
kind of control of all functionality of the hand by two buttons. You activate either
Is it like
uh,
close and open, or what's
yeah,
the?
yeah, but so there are flexors extensors, two
Mhm.
groups of muscles in for
So
example in forearm.
flexors, is that inside the that's on kind of
Yes,
the inside of the forearm, and then extensors are the top of the forearm.
yes. And when you activate flexors, for example, you switch grip. You have pre-programmed
Hmm.
grips in your hand, and by activating flexors, by short activations of flexors, you are switching grip clockwise.
Mm.
And when you activate uh, extensors, you are switching grips counterclockwise. When you want to close the grip you have right now, you
Do both.
you will activate flexors prolong. I mean, like not
Oh.
that will be not short activation but longer activation. That's the way this dual side electrode control system works.
Mhm.
And yes, all of these types of control, when we detect activation of muscles, they are mainly EMG based, electromyography.
Mhm. Gotcha. And so that's a cool way of doing it, where you have the two, basically two groups of muscles that you're sensing the activations of. So you have basically the ability to toggle through a set number of grips, and so that might be like pinch or whole hand grasp. Is that correct?
Yes, user programs some grips
The grips.
in the application, and then depends on which type of control mm, does
Hmm.
user have right now, and uh, if it is dual side electrodes, yes, it will work like I have described. But it is
Hmm.
if it is, for example, our control system where you can detect which muscle exactly was activated in forearm or shoulder, uh, you will have much more, let's say, buttons to control all functionality of the
Yeah.
hand, not just flexors, extensors, but 20 different muscles, and each muscle can have
Wow.
different can be programmed for separate command for the hand, and combination of muscles
Hmm.
can also lead to different commands for the hand. That that gives much uh, much more dexterity for
Hmm.
in control, and control is much faster. You shouldn't switch and then close, open, grip. You can
Hmm.
just open, close the grip you want right now, or you can move separate fingers. That's it.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's what I was meaning with you guys being clever about having these springs pull the fingers open. Because if it was like the way I was imagining it naively was some might go, this is closed, so I activate one muscle and the hand closes, and then you activate another muscle and it opens. Um, but if you make it so that it is you basically release one muscle and it will open the hand. That's very cool, and it's awesome to hear you guys are getting like a 20 different muscles and this kind of thing. But let's back up just a little bit and talk to me, because for those who aren't familiar, and also I could learn more. Um, what is it exactly that you're attaching to someone? Like, what are these electrodes, and how does it work? Because you're mentioning you can put it on the forearm or you can put it on the shoulder. Um, how does all that work?
These are on surface electrodes that can be located in different parts of the body, and
Hmm.
that electrodes are EMG electrodes. They detect
Hmm.
voltage drop when some muscle close to them was activated,
Hmm.
and that is not absolutely not implanted um,
Yeah, you don't have to like go beneath the
device.
skin or anything. You put
Yes,
it on the skin.
yeah, you put on it, put off it when you want, and like that's just a wearable. And
Is it kind of like a suction cup, or what does it? Like, how would you
no,
describe the electrode?
no, that's just a piece of um, small piece of metal in a in a plastic box, and
Hmm.
usually there are many uh, metal pieces in a plastic box. In our muscle sensors, we have
Hmm.
3 plastic pieces in each muscle sensor, and we use up to 16 muscle sensors. So
Wow,
that's kind of many
it's a lot.
small
Hmm.
metal pieces which are separate electrodes, and they are located on the skin surface, and by them we detect which muscle exactly was activated in forearm
Hmm.
or shoulder usually, but it can be implemented um,
Pec
on
or
chest, on
back.
leg, yeah, on back,
Like, yeah.
yes, yes,
So for these, you have these plastic boxes. These plastic boxes have like a little, probably not sharp or anything, but a little piece of metal sticking out just a little bit that goes and makes contact with the skin. And that's how you sense when someone flexes a muscle, the electric potential of the skin changes where that muscle is activated, and you sense that, and you realize the user's intention, and will open or close the hand or adjust the fingers or whatever it is. Is that a fair summary of this?
yes, yes,
And so with the different locations, it might depend on whatever kind of amputation or how do you say it? It might depend on the person's body shape, I guess. Or so if they don't just have a hand, maybe you use the forearm, and if they don't have above below the elbow, then maybe you use the bicep, tricep, shoulder, whatever it is, and you can keep going up from there until you have muscles that you can have them control. Correct?
yes. Always when there is some uh, amputation or
Mm-hmm.
congenital case, and
Congenital, does that just mean they were born with it, or what's
yes,
the
yes,
gotcha?
and some muscles are active but not functional because they're not connected to fingers or to like palm. But
Mm-hmm.
if they are functional, I mean, like if they are active, we can make them functional by detecting their activation and
Mm-hmm.
making commands to robotic hand or any digit, any device around, like to
Mm-hmm.
control, um, to replace mouse or part of keyboard or joystick.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. How does it? So people are shaped in a bunch of different ways, and I guess well, this really has two questions within it. But how do you, if say I lost a hand in a car accident or something like this, and so I have my own particular shape, how do you go about working with a new patient, um, and then versus someone else? Like, is it a lengthy calibration process? Do you stick an electrode in and just ask them to like move around a good bit? Stick the electrode pad on their forearm and see what you can get signals from, and then you try to identify as many separate signals, or how does it work?
So robotic prosthetic hand consists
Mm-hmm.
of robotic hand itself
Mm-hmm.
and socket. Socket is kind of big cup that is worn on residual part of the limb, and it
Mm-hmm.
has inside embedded um, muscle sensors, and uh, the socket with muscle sensors with exact location is created individually in prosthetic clinics.
Mm.
Uh, so we provide all electronics that is inside the socket and
Hmm.
the robotic hand itself. And in prosthetic clinics, to find out the best location for muscle sensors, uh, should be done the procedure like of detecting um, which places are the best. And yes, like you have described, prosthetic expert with user try to find out by putting uh, in different places by putting electrodes, uh, i- trying to find out the best places, the best
Hmm.
location, and then with this location, uh, stump socket is created.
What is it? A
Socket,
custom
like
socket?
custom socket, yes.
Gotcha. And the custom socket, that's a customized version of the cup you were describing to sit on the residual limb. And
Yes.
that fits really well and is in contact with the skin very well. For the electrodes, you don't need like a gel or anything for them to put their arm into. Or I'm just thinking of like one of those electroencephalographs. They often put like a gel on the skin to make it so that it's more connective or conduct. I don't know. You can read the signals more clear, and maybe that's different because I don't think it's all the muscle activation that those are reading. It's like brain activity. But
Usually you don't need, but
mm,
sometimes because of some uh, like uh, salt hairs or dirty skin or oiled skin, sometimes connection is not so well, and
mhm.
up to 15 minutes is needed uh, to to establish good connection.
Mm.
I mean, that's usually for first-time users, and to facilitate this, yeah, gel can be used.
Gotcha. So, and then one thing I'm curious about is now you have someone, they get a prosthetic device for their hand. Say they were one of the congenital cases. That's the word, right?
Yes.
Um, say they were one of those cases and they've never had a hand, but they have a forearm and they have those muscles there and they're non functional, as you said, as in they haven't been used to move fingers in the past. Um, you put the prosthetic hand on them, and because they haven't used those muscles, I'm imagining that with time, their sophistication in controlling those muscles increases. And then maybe in like a year or 6 months or some period of time, maybe they can go back and then they can have a different set of electrodes, or you can look for different signals or something else that would give them, say they only had 4 electrodes being supported for movement options. And then maybe eventually you can get them to the 16 or whatever that you're capable of doing. Does it often go like that, or I don't know? Do you see that users kind of learn and grow more sophisticated, and then their configuration may change over time?
Usually, users, if even if it is congenital case and muscle haven't ever been used for uh, as functional as to move some fingers, even in this case, user can activate muscles. Yeah, it's not so um, dexterous and precise, but it is enough to control uh, new wearable gadget,
Hmm.
mm, new wearable, yeah, assistive device, and
Yep.
it's, for example, you you and me, we haven't tried some types of joystick. Let's
Hmm.
let's imagine some new type of joystick, and we haven't ever tried this, and it will take some time to learn this joystick. but it will not take much, like less than a
Yeah.
month for sure. And the same situation is here, but on top of uh, on top of detection of muscle activity and controlling of device by muscle activation, we
Mhm.
add learning algorithms that improve uh, control over time individually. Or
Hmm.
we pa- so the solution uh, we are bringing to the market is consists of robotic hand of our controller and of the
Mhm.
software platform. And the software platform periodically receives data from the hand, sees in which conditions which grip was preferred by user, and updates control algorithm over time. So the hand
Huh.
next time will know uh, in this situation which grip is preferred by user, and uh, the hand will know priority of grips in this situation, and
Hmm.
uh, this learning uh, it decreases chance of failure up to 3 times over time. And for this you should spend months, I guess, because like in 2 weeks you will have great improvement, but in 3 months you will have definitely better improvement, and in three
Hmm.
years even more better. So uh, that's like that will be long-term process of
Hmm.
step-by-step improvement of control that will take
Yeah,
time.
for sure. That's really interesting. So it's so you mentioned earlier that well, you mentioned earlier that you can get 16 signals or so from your electrodes on the hand, and I assume that's given like hopefully it's a common configuration where someone will be missing a hand in a common way, um, so that can benefit a lot of people. Do you often get 16 channels of like 16 different ways of moving the muscles to control the hand? Do you often get that?
Number of sensors um, is is not the number of
Channels
commands
or
we have.
signals? Is
Yes,
number of what? Sorry.
number of commands we have for the hand. I
Ah.
mean, so um, 16 electrodes are needed for precise detection of which exactly muscle was activated right now in
Mm-hmm.
forearm or shoulder. If we will use four sensors, it will not be so precise. It
Mm-mm.
would work better with groups of muscles, but not with
Yes.
separate muscles. If we use eight, yeah, it can work,
More
especially in
precise.
cases, yeah,
16
when
is better. 100 is better than 16. Just
yes, and
more
16 is
resolution, more
yes,
bits of control.
yes. Uh, so
How many bits
low,
of control do you get for 16 sensors generally?
I can't
Is
answer
it,
this question. I don't have answer right now.
uh, do you have like a ballpark? Like, so if you were saying you can control, so you have 6 motors in your hand, and you don't do any wrist stuff, do you? Is the hand always rigid, straight?
Yeah, so right now the versions it was FDA registered that is on the market. It doesn't have wrist joint, but we
No
have
wrist.
wrist joint already designed for the next version. And
Does it just rotate, or how does the wrist work?
yeah, there is wrist rotation,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but right now in this version we have wrist rotation, but the flexion extension, uh, it's it will be only in the next version, which
Yeah,
is
I imagine that
designed.
one's harder, and rotation is really valuable, I imagine. Flexion probably too.
Flexion is also valuable. Yes, we don't have it right now, but we will in the next version.
So you have So if you have, let's assume your FDA one, your FDA registered one. So that one has 6 motors. So with those 6 motors, you said that people can control their fingers individually, um, probably in some cases. And there are different control schemes you can use. One where you have the cycling and you can flex the flexors and you can flex them longer and then it'll go and know it should grab. But if you have the other way, where you said you can control individual um, fingers, that means you need at least 6, well, maybe at least 5. I don't know if it can infer certain things given the grip with the like bits of information that say do a close, like close this finger. But I guess also you're saying that it also does strength in this too. So I can vary the intensity of it. So then it's more bits, but I guess it's maybe 6 independent signals, effectively, at least, that you're getting with your 16 electrodes. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we can say so, but the bandwidth is much higher than. Mm, you have described the most simplified version, and we have much more, much higher bandwidth, and we have no uh, like we have higher processing capacities than we will need in future right now, because
Oh,
we
that's
do a
beautiful.
lot because of because we do a lot of new stuff and experiments, and it's better for us to cut later.
Yep. Oh, I totally agree. Especially
Yeah,
because I imagine the electrodes are inexpensive because it's just metal little sticks and you're sensing them, right? Or
yeah.
maybe the
So
processing is expensive, but the actual adding 16 or whatever, you're probably limited by space more than anything, is what I would imagine. Is
yeah,
it right or no? Ah,
yes. And we get much more data to
then you need.
for yeah for uh, further improvements, and
Mm-hmm.
then like in few years, I guess, when we get like uh, hundreds or thousands of users,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we will we will cut everything we don't need. But right now, uh, the system gets much more data, and for some control cases, we use very precise like detection of strengths, and we need
Mm-hmm.
much more bits for this. And for some of detection of for detection of muscles in forearm or shoulder, we also
Mm-hmm.
send to the hand uh, much more information when it is processed inside the hand.
Yeah,
So yeah, we have we use much more bits right now.
that's awesome. I really like that. I think that's a smart approach, especially for now. So, like, how you have some number of users? I'm assuming like tens of users with your form with your device. Now, how many would you say? So you're saying hundreds or thousands is more. How many would you assume? How many arms do you, or how many hands do you have out there?
We have 9 users right now.
Ah,
Today we
okay.
have got no. Yeah, today we have got ninth user. Yeah.
How long since the first user? Out of curiosity.
So our users, uh, our first users have got like 5 different versions of the hand, because
Yeah.
of it's like you are iterating a lot, much more
Yep.
with first users. And right
Definitely.
now, for example, the during next 2 months we'll get 11 more users to close first
Wow.
20
Yeah, it
group of
grows like an
users.
exponential curve. I betcha.
Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, so right now we are waiting our hands, new bunch of hands from Berlin to install it
Mm-hmm.
here in New York area. And
Hmm.
the next users are ready for this. Like they have tried the hand
Nice.
by the demo hands we have right now. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we should wait for a while. We were
To get
uh,
feedback.
yeah, we could. could could finish it actually like 2 months ago, I guess. But the
Mm-hmm.
the assembling process was disrupted. We had suppliers also from Ukraine, and the war.
Ah,
It is kind of challenge for us right now.
I
Everything
bet.
is relocated, and we are in uh, like we are working intense and again effectively, very effectively, but
Mm-hmm.
it needed time to switch suppliers and to
Mm-hmm.
rebuild the assembling line
Yeah,
like
for
this.
sure. Yeah, I know that's a challenge that a lot of hardware companies have been going through, especially if you have you're part of your team or part of your production in Ukraine. I could see how that would just really be a delay and very awful, the whole situation. Um, let's see. So you have 9 users now. You have a bunch. You have 11 coming on. That's very exciting to like more than 100% new users in the near future. And you're getting more signals than you need to control these hands. So you have additional, I don't know, a bit additional signals to do stuff with in the future. I think that's a really smart approach. And then if you're starting to get thousands of users and starting to mass produce these for everyone who needs a hand, pun intended, um, then that's really nice. Then you can start cutting things to make it exactly what the majority of the people need, which is really nice. I think that's a very smart approach. Oh yeah. What do these signals look like? I know with like electromyograph or at least electroencephalograph, I guess, for the scalp, like those signals are really, really messy. There's a lot of like correlation between signals, and it's very hard to like detect patterns and things like this. If you guys are getting a lot of signals, I imagine that you're doing pretty sophisticated work in signal processing to try to understand what are they actually intending. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, digital signal processing is our uh,
Your
one of
forte?
one of key advantages, I guess.
Yep,
And
I imagine.
we we are not going to detection of activation of the smallest parts of muscles, motor units. Motor unit
Mm-hmm.
is so muscle consists of muscle cells, and
Mm-hmm.
muscle cells, a group of muscle cells that can be activated but by one neuron, by one axon.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this group of muscle cells is called motor unit, and motor unit is the smallest part of muscles that can be activated by one
Okay.
neuron. And um, we are not going to detect the
Too
smallest
fine.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And each muscle consists of up to 2000 of these motor units. Uh,
By each
but
muscle, do you mean like a muscle running the length of my forearm, or what does it mean? Like a big muscle cell, or what do you mean each muscle?
each muscle, I mean, like, let's
Like
uh,
my bicep
in
kind of thing, or?
in forearm there are more dexterous muscles that should
Mm-hmm.
make very precise moves, and well, dexterous muscles, they have more motor units, and just to make more precise moves. Uh,
Cool.
and
It's like more encoder or more steps on an encoder or something, but for our systems. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And uh, we can like right now we are detecting exact muscles, just which muscle exactly was activated, but uh, later we will detect which part of muscle was activated, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more than enough to detect like which of 10 parts of one
Mm-hmm.
muscle is activated. There are no need
Yeah.
to detect motor units activation or activation
Mm-hmm.
of small groups of motor units. And uh, we think that this control system should go this way, and this way has enough like that extra data we are collecting will be needed
Mm-hmm.
later to make more precise detection. The data
Mm-hmm.
set will be used for more precise detection,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to detect not activation of exact muscle, but activation of which small part of muscle was activated.
Yeah,
But if
definitely.
we would go to detection of motor units, we should get much more data than we are
Oh
getting
yeah,
right
it'll be
now.
like a color image kind of thing. Like it'll just be so rich,
Yes.
and you can
Uh,
find all sorts of patterns in it, I imagine.
Signals we are getting, that is usually mass. It looks like mass uh, because
It's just time
let's
series data, basically. Like
yeah
you just have a bunch of data and you look for changes and
yeah
I don't know, a bunch of
and,
things.
and so signals we get on a skin surface,
Mm-hmm.
that are signals of activation of thousands, hundreds or thousands motor units
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously, like not really simultaneously, but like in each
Basically.
period of time. If we take
Mm-hmm.
one muscle, 10% of motor units were activated this moment. Next one moment, another 10% of motor units is activated, and
Mm-hmm.
muscle keep that percentage stable, but changes
Are what you
which
register.
motor units are activated right now, and
Mm-hmm. Is that
that
what this?
creates
So
mass, like noise. Looks like
yep.
a noise, and it's if if you have the goal like we have to detect which muscle exactly is activated right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay for you. But if you are trying to detect which motor unit right now was activated,
Too
it's
hard.
like exponential. Uh,
More difficult.
yes,
And you
much more
probably would need
difficult.
like 1,000 electrodes or 10,000 electrodes or some crazy number.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. Just
Maybe
guessing.
yeah, maybe just more powerful digital signal processing, but
Mm.
uh, we don't think that it is smart to uh, have so huge processing capacity for
We're already meeting
uh,
what you need, anyways. And yeah, you'd need like a desktop, like a, I don't know, some sort of like great computer strapped to their wrist, like a
yeah.
desktop, like a powerful gaming desktop computer strapped to their wrist to do
Yeah.
anything with it. Probably that would be comical to see, but
Yes. So this is not smart, I think, for wearables.
yes. But so I mean, it makes sense that you're kind of doing like maybe 50% more than what you need in terms of signals, or some like maybe 100% more signals than you expect you'll need in the next 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. I think that
Yeah.
that seems like a
We
great
have
approach.
capacity to do this. Yes. We have capacity for do 100% more at least than we
Ah,
than our goal is.
that's awesome. So then you have these electrodes, you get these signals. How, and you were saying that you have data sets and you learn about the person and what their intended grasp was, and it helps with the transitions. How do you do that? So I'm imagining, just from the perspective, like, do you have a camera on the hand so you can label the data, or is there? I'm just it's hard for me to imagine being able to infer what the person is intending with the hand unless maybe they have like a smartphone that connects to it that they can say that wasn't what I wanted or something. But how do you form a sort of data set out of the data from your users to allow for the learning algorithm you were talking about earlier?
So how? can we find out was the activation mm, of this
What?
grip, was it successful or not?
Yeah, how do you know if you did what was intended from the
Yeah.
signals
Okay.
that are there? If you had a little camera in the
Okay.
hand, that'd be cool. But I don't
Yeah.
imagine you have one, or do you?
We don't. We don't. We
It'd be very
so
cool.
we just
But yeah.
understand by user behavior. We understand was it something
Oh.
user wanted to do or not. If user have chosen some grip and have started to use it, and we and the hand feels the object, probably that's the grip user want. If the
Oh.
user continue to try to choose another grip, we see there are some problems, and that's
Huh.
not what user want to do, and therefore this behavior of the hand will not uh, like mm,
You don't need other labeling things. You infer it from
yes,
the
yeah,
behavior of the user. Does that
yes,
bias your data for simpler tasks? And maybe it's fine for now, but I'm imagining, so say I'm like cooking or something like this, where I have to crack an egg and then I have to grab the mixer and then I have to, whatever, I'm switching grips frequently. Um, Maybe it just looks like I did it wrong, but maybe I'm trying to cook really fast. And so I'm switching very frequently, but maybe it doesn't matter because you are getting enough data anyways with the assumption that you were just mentioning.
if it was false activation,
Mm-hmm.
you will not use this grip, and this grip
Mm.
will not uh, contact uh, an object.
Mm.
And this way we know when there were false activations, and we
Mm-hmm.
label parts of dataset as dataset of false
Gotcha.
activations.
And those are basically the cases when you're saying this was the stimulus, this was the grip picked, those were wrong. And then you're linking that idea using some sort of learning algorithm. And you also do the negative and the positive case. You go, this one, they used it, therefore good. Um, this was the activation for it. And we basically want to
Yeah,
increase that
we have
link.
both. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
both, and positive and negative.
Cool. Does it generalize between users? Like, so if I have, I'm sure it doesn't literally generalize between users, but can you take like, I have 10 people that are all using these arms. You have trained a model that looks at the activations for the users. Is there any part of that can be like leveraged between users, like a more general way or a better encoding or whatever it might be? Can you generalize between users, I guess, in any meaningful way?
There are two uh, generalized like benefits we get. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, that is we are getting kind of standard average settings for
Yeah.
like standard algorithms which with which each user will start their journey, and we
Mm.
uh,
So that makes it better to bootstrap new users in because you
yes,
already have an idea about what they may be trying to do, and makes it basically
yes,
you accelerate what it would be because of that. That sounds great. Hell yeah.
and second is it improves detection of muscle activity. Detection of muscle activity has um, like we all the users, you and me, we all have same problems about our skin, not problems
Mm-hmm.
but challenges that should be solved to have proper signal for electrodes, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the same for you and me, like for other people enduring hot weather, and we will be more, we will be
Oily or whatever
more
it might
more
be.
sweaty,
Sweaty.
yeah, or oily, and there will be more salt on the skin surface, And uh, this case can be eliminated partially by the software, and the software will rely on data set, general
Hmm.
data set. But for sure, individualization, that's separate improvements, and that's not that
Not easy to
is
generalize.
opposite to generalization. So
Yeah, I was wondering, like, so say I'm training an image classifier.
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of work, and I'm definitely not up to date on this area, but there was a lot of work in like one-shot learning, where like you train on a bunch of data, um, and then you say this is a new type of bird that you've never seen, and then it's going to show you another picture and say, is it that type of bird? Like, could you find a good enough representation in such a short time? And so what they're doing, as far as I understand, is making really, really good representations of the data, good encodings, and then it allows them to generalize quickly and efficiently based on the data. I was wondering, like, that kind of thing could allow you to understand user preferences or whatever very specifically, because you could learn with the correct encoding. Um, is that a thing too? Because that could allow differentiation between users, but yeah, but still you could benefit from having multiple users. I don't know if it applies in this domain, and I don't know if I'm butchering the concept, but
Of course, like the preparation of right data set is the main part of data science. And
hmm,
we have raw data set, yes, and we are preparing it in different way, and we come back to this raw data set few
frequently,
times, several,
I
yeah,
bet.
just to check some other assumption, and we will do
Hmm.
this many more times. So
Yes.
yes, like preparation of the data set, that is the challenge itself, and that is the main challenge in data science, and that is like the way we will prepare data set to train our models. That
Hmm.
will be like uh, mm,
There's a lot of
like
challenge and opportunity there.
yeah, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
For sure. Huh. I feel like also that's another reason that what you've chosen to do with adding like 100% more signals than you need is smart, because it allows you to use the same setup for a long period of time, which means your data doesn't become obsolete as quickly. Because, like, say you only did 50% of what you're currently using in your first prototypes. Now it's like, okay, none of that data set is relevant. Like, maybe you can infer some value from it, but it's pretty hard. And now, if you only made it to 100%, like exactly where you are now, when you want to add a wrist and it needs another degree of freedom, then that's a very hard thing, because all of your data is like, you can maybe figure out how to transform it, but it's still tough to use. And so I think it's a smart approach to budget in more than you needed.
Yeah, you never know in advance
Hmm.
which parts of data will be needed here.
Hmm.
So therefore, it's better to get much more.
What kind of computer do you have in the hand, the prosthetic hand? Or like, how are you doing the computation, I suppose?
So uh, the learning is not in the hand itself. It's in
Yep, I'm sure.
the server part. The hand
Hmm.
has uh, electronics processing capacities enough to filter by algorithms that we have got with learning in the server part.
Hmm.
And we use for this we use a STAM line of microprocessors.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, and that's interesting. So you have this microprocessor. is a microprocessor, is that pretty similar to a microcontroller? Like it doesn't have an operating system
Yeah,
on it?
yeah, that is.
Gotcha. And you just implement your algorithms on it basically, and it's going to get all of the signals from the electrodes, and then it's going to actuate them on the with the motors to make the hand do something. So it's like a big
Yes.
function. Basically, it's passing everything through. How do you do? So then I imagine that there's something like it connects to a user's smartphone or something, and maybe it stores a little data locally um, before sending it over to the smartphone, and then you upload it to your thing so you can get the data set. Or how does it connect to how do you get the data back from it, I suppose?
From
So when
server
you
or
have
from you? Yeah.
when you have so I have one of these hands, and I'm going to go about my day using it, and occasionally I don't get the correct grip and this kind of thing. Now you need that data so that you can train the model for me. How is that data going from my hand to however it's going to be used to train, and then I guess back to my hand so that it can update it? Like, do I need to plug it in,
Yeah.
or what's how? And I'm downloading the
Through
data somewhere, or
the
uploading it.
smartphone application. Through
Ah,
the
there is a
smartphone
smartphone
application.
application.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's always an app.
smartphone application. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
App gets packed data from the hand periodically when user wants to upgrade the control, and
Mm-hmm.
app sends to the server this pack of data
Mm.
and gets from server mm, updates for control algorithms uh, and updates the hand.
That's so cool. Okay. Um, So it sends it. That's so cool. There's an app. The app is intermediary. So you have some local storage on the hand, and that local storage will record the data. And then when the app periodically is in touch with it, then it sends that data over to the app. The app then sends it to the server. You can do training. You pump it back down to the app. Then the app can upload new things of what it should do from or into the hand. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Let's see. And it's let's see. So, do you do any? Actually, are is there? What would happen if you had a camera on the hand? Like, why not have a camera? One approach that I've seen pretty successfully in robotics, when it's not tied to when it's not like prostheses or bionics or anything, is they'll put a camera right in the palm of the robot, and it improves the grip accuracy and all sorts of things significantly. And you can do some sort of like, oh, we're picking up a this, prepare with this grip. Like I'm picking up a grape, like the hand is moving towards a grape, prepare grape gripping grip. Um, this kind of thing. What would happen if you put a camera in the palm, or why not do that? Or maybe it's complexity, but what do you think?
Processing capacity, battery life, temperature,
Ah,
then using gloves, then like
oh, using
interchangeable
gloves.
designs of the hands, etc. Many things are kind of making this idea not convenient enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess because you have to carry a battery with it. And so you actually, if the user wants to use, this is a thing I hadn't thought about. Like image processing is computationally expensive, and you have to carry a battery with the hand. So in the little hand, and I guess the socket part too, there's all the actuators, there's the microprocessor, there's the battery, and maybe like motor control unit and all sorts of things. How much battery life do you get with these?
More than for a day. I think there will be like 20 hours of non-stop usage,
Wow.
but it depends on batteries. There are different types of batteries, and usually prosthetic experts sees how many spaces there and
Mm-hmm.
decide with user which battery will choose. and
Mm.
so we have we our hand can work with different batteries, but at
Yeah,
least for one day. At least for one day.
that's exciting. And but so what I'm thinking of now, I still think there's good benefit to a camera on this. If you were to put like a really low power, low resolution camera that's taking even like 16 by 16 images, 16 by 16 pixel images, I still think that would be a lot of valuable information. The point of gloves is a very good one. Um, but I still think in other circumstances, the camera would be a gigantic benefit. You why is that a bad idea? I guess you mentioned a lot of things like heat and probably it touching things, and but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that kind of thing? Like a really low
First of
power,
all,
you process it
first
only
of
once in a
all,
while. Hmm.
yeah. So first of all, uh, because of processing capacities, that is first of all. But
Hmm.
uh, like we had design we have designed version of the with small cam, and
Okay.
we have some space in the hand, but because of processing capacity we don't go this way right now.
Ah.
We think that mm, we will not get so many benefits, and we will give
Mm.
uh, conscious control. We give more to the hand. I mean, like we don't want to decide to. We don't want so the hand would decide what to do, not the user.
Hmm.
We want user to be in charge of the hand, and the hand be
Gotcha.
as intuitive in control as possible. Um, the hand shouldn't decide something for user. User should control the hand 100%.
Gotcha. Huh. But it's interesting with your AI idea where it selects the grip or prioritizes it, because even that is
Pro, pro,
selecting. Oh, go ahead.
prioritizing, see, like the hand learns user behavior. The hand is trying to serve person better. The hand
Hmm.
is trying to understand per user better. And
Hmm.
uh, prior, prioritization is not
Hmm.
the chosen grip. It's just
Mm.
the purpose of this is to get rid of false activation and detect which group of muscle was activated here uh, more
Oh,
precisely. That's not
okay.
decision of action, that's improvement of detection of user intent.
Gotcha.
So,
So is this with the limited mode where it's a few simple grips, or is this when I can control all the fingers that it does the learning algorithm setup?
both, to both.
Both? Okay. So in the case that it's all of the fingers being so how does it know how does the user know which grip it has prioritized, or is it selective in that it says I think you're going to use this grip when you do this kind of activation, like I think this is what you intended, like is it
Uh,
basically making it more sensitive to reading the user's intentions, or is
yes,
it so that one, okay, so that makes sense
yes.
to me then. That's
So
cool.
the cam can be used for this, like to understand user, to understand situation better.
Hmm.
But uh, like right now, because of complex of these factors, so it's kind of it was always very intriguing, interesting idea that all of engineers in our team want to implement. But
Yeah.
because of increased complexity and complex of these problems.
Mm-hmm.
We think that it's better, simpler is better here,
Yes,
for
for
sure.
sure. Awesome. Um, do you guys do any sort of haptic feedback to the user, or is it all open loop? Like, is there a, like, if I'm putting this much pressure on something, is there any way of letting the user know? Or
Right now, like there are
probably.
ways that are used on the market.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually it is vibro motors,
Hmm.
like when you are driving a car in a PlayStation, and you and crash
You run
something,
over. Yep.
you will
And the controller rumbles.
there will be some vibration from right side, from left side, and
Mm-hmm.
it's possible to put small vibro motors in as a armband, and to end user will understand which finger was has which amount of pressure right now.
Hmm.
uh, it will work, but we don't do this solution right now. Right now we are
Mm-hmm.
focused on other part of problem. We think feedback right now it is enough of visual feedback, and
Yep.
yeah, for sure feedback will be needed later and will be kind of state of art later, but it's not the right time right now.
Nailing the signal processing. That seems to be the biggest part of this problem to me. And it seems like what you guys are focusing on.
Yeah, control and
Mm-hmm.
some hardware features of the robotic hand. So
Mm-hmm.
accessible robotic hand, durable robotic hand, and so which has dexterous control. That is the main challenge. This is like 90%
Mm-hmm.
of challenges the market of robotic hand have has
Mm-hmm.
now.
Gotcha. How do you guys compare to other companies out there? So you said some of them have the vibration, haptic feedback, this kind of thing. But otherwise, how do you guys compare?
Uh, the, there is vibration is something that can be used by any company, and there is there are no products on the market that with some
Support it
popular
directly.
solution with some
Mm-hmm.
popular solution with vibration or feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we so first of all, we are the first software focused company here. We
Uh-huh.
have uh, our main advantage is in prosthetic control, but also so other companies they are hardware focused and they uh, differ by some hardware features,
Mm-hmm.
and we it's fair to compare us not by software but by hardware features. And when
Mm-hmm.
we like, because there are no software focused companies in the industry, uh, and by hardware features our hand is that is right now the lightest hand. Also, it has two sizes. The smaller sizes is the smallest hand on the market. Also,
Wow.
this is
Okay.
the only
It's
uh,
probably important for
female
kids and females. Yeah.
female shape hand. This is the only female shaped hand
Oh,
right
that's
now.
wonderful. Oh, yeah.
Also, it is we have got great feedback by design of the hand and from the market and from the
Mm-hmm.
users and from prosthetic experts. And we have got we a week ago we have got red dot, uh, the red dot best of the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
It's
The
the
design
biggest,
award. Is that correct?
yeah, the biggest
Congrats.
design award in the world, and that is best of the best. Like
Yeah, it's
that's
kind of
like,
like the Oscars for design
yeah,
or something like
yeah,
this, correct?
yes,
Like
yes,
Apple. It's well, congrats on that. That's wonderful.
Yes, so design is something people like a lot, and
Hmm.
other features like water protection, changeable designs, strength, speed. We are
Yep.
very uh, like w- we have
Very competitive.
advantages in, yeah, very competitive in many of
Hmm.
this.
But then also software focused, which I mean, I think that's a huge thing. I don't know. I just doing a lot of podcast interviews and things. What I hear in my own experience is the hardware is very, very important to get right. But a lot of the challenge, probably the majority of the challenge, is in the software. And so if you guys are taking a software approach to this, where you're doing really intelligent things with the control signals and adding some sort of learning, which makes it better for the user, that seems to be a big differentiator between you and alternatives to me, based on what I've learned through this interview.
This is,
Hmm.
I think so. Yes.
Awesome. Um, what is so you guys have 9 people now, you're having 11 soon. What is your funding like?
So I start. I was the only investor in the company. That is the
Hmm.
first company I'm building,
How
and
many did you say? Fourth?
first, yes, yes,
Oh, wow.
and uh, we had two financial rounds. We have
Hmm.
investors, and we we have money to go forward,
Hmm.
mm, like this.
Gotcha. Is it how large is your team? Because you mentioned you have the 3 locations.
Yes, we are a team of 20 full time, over I think like 35.
Part time.
Uh, yeah, I mean like 20 full time and up to 15 part time. And we are distributed uh, for in New York,
Hmm.
uh, 8 in Berlin, and 8 in Ukraine.
Hmm. Gotcha. Let's
Mainly
see.
engineers, but
Hmm.
like in New York, we have business activity, and in Berlin, R&D, mainly of control system and
Yep.
assembly line. And in Ukraine, uh, mainly like mechanical part, some electronics of the hand, and also partially assembling.
Hmm. That's really cool. And you mentioned you're FDA certified with the hand, no wrist yet. Um, are you primarily focusing on US markets, or are you focusing on European ones as well? I mean, FDA
US
certification is probably a lot of effort, depending on
US
if
is
you were
our
to.
main markets. US is our
Gotcha.
main markets, and yeah, European Union. I think it is a second market, but
Hmm.
we are focused, and we are here in the US right now. We don't have
Hmm.
certifications in European Union yet. We haven't
Hmm.
started because we are focused
Wow.
on the
Okay.
US market.
Gotcha. How did you choose that?
The biggest markets, one solid market comparing to European Union, which is
Uh, a
27
bunch of little
separated.
markets.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
but
okay. That makes
European
sense.
Union market is bigger than US market actually, but
Hmm.
it's many separate
Fractured.
markets. Yes,
Gotcha. Interesting. And how did you choose New York for or Brooklyn for your office? How not Silicon Valley or Texas or Massachusetts or whatever? How'd you choose New York?
great prosthetic clinics, uh,
Oh.
s- uh, many like very populated area,
Mm-hmm.
Many potential users are here, and it's great to choose when we start. It's great to choose uh, first users to go with,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great if they are close to our facilities just to interact in person
Mm-hmm.
periodically to get feedback. So that that are the reasons.
Gotcha. Those are good reasons. Where do you think you guys will go? Like in the like, what do you think you will do as a company in the next, say, 2 to 5 years?
We will have our control system on the market. Our control system maybe will go mass market. Our we will start R&D of leg prosthesis. We'll
Whoa.
cooperate
Will it
with
just be ankle, or will you do knee as well, or
yeah, both,
both? Okay, awesome.
and like our hand will grow to motorized elbow and shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, we will we will we will start cooperation with manufacturers of electronics. It will be inside human bodies.
Whoa. So actually
We have
embedding it?
started. Yes, we have started prosthetics because of this reason. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
we have started 3 years ago, a team of 5, now a team of 20, and we are going step by step to electronics that will be inside human bodies. Uh, we bet that
So would it
this
be
this is
will it be muscle inside the body, or will it be like the ECOG, electrical cortical? I don't remember what it stands for, but the one that they remove some skull and put some electrodes in the brain, like Neuralink is working on, or will it be a bunch of needles into a muscle in the forearm, or what kind of embedding in the human body are you imagining doing?
we so there is a line of products, and there are different products. It's kind of very complex question you have asked.
Ah,
Okay, let's go
mm-hmm.
step by step to describe this. First of
Sure.
all, we believe that the electronics inside human bodies will be the biggest mm, market ever created by humanity. It is the most important
Mm.
technology stack. It's it will be bigger than all automotive, space tech, and robotic industry combined, and it will change our lives much more, and it
Mm-hmm.
will give
Very
more
directly.
abilities and prolong our lives directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we bet that 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 the birthplace of this technology stack will be community of users of large wearable devices, because large
Ah.
wearable devices will be chargers, data receivers, data processors for electronics inside human body. And
Oh.
uh, we see that this electronics will include many kinds of devices. It will be and uh, BCIs, which are most popular right now,
Brain
like
controller interfaces.
trendy, yes.
Yeah,
But
with Neuralink
we
and
think,
mm-hmm.
yeah, we think that is kind of 20% of all implementations of there will be more devices for other purposes to prolong life,
Mm.
directly to improve some other organs, like uh, and to like to detect blood parameters, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we like 20% of this will be BCIs, and within BCIs we see that yes, someday in the future, like cortex BCIs will be uh,
I think it'll
state
be
of
real.
art, like will be the most popular, but it will not be soon. And
Mm-hmm.
much like for tens for decades we will have much more popular solution, peripheral BCIs that
Tap
that
into your
work
nervous
with
system.
nerve. Yes, yes,
Mm.
and we believe in this way of uh, like in, of development.
Mm-hmm.
What does Neuralink uh, right now? What they do, what they do right now? It looks mm, like imagine if SpaceX would start from Mars mission without all the
Any, I see.
smaller rockets, intermediate rockets that should
Mm-hmm.
bring stuff to the space. So they in Neuralink they are starting from Mars mission, from
Yep.
Cortex.
Nothing on the way
Uh,
between there and that. Like
yes, yes,
no
and
no
so
no intermediate bootstrapping. It's just big picture
yes, and
project all
there
at once.
should be big part of peripheral neural implants that are much less risky for human, and
Mm.
human stays more conscious about controlling these devices, and it's much safer in medical way, in installation, in
Yeah. You don't have to
software
pop someone's head
security,
open. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and etc. So therefore, we believe in peripheral BCIs, and yeah, it will start from probably from BCIs inside our limbs, and
Mm-hmm.
it will start from BCIs that have that does that does EMG uh, technology, like that
Mm-hmm.
are light on EMG technologies. They help to detect which groups of motor units are
Active
activated
being.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, BCIs are 20% of electronics that will be inside human bodies, and
Mm-hmm.
these big
There's a lot
assistive
of other
devices
space.
that can be chargers, data receivers, data processors for devices that detect blood parameters,
Mm-hmm.
adjust sugar level, decrease how tired we are during the day, and help us uh, to eliminate strokes or heart attack
Yeah.
for groups of risks, and etc. There
Mm-hmm.
will be many implementations.
Yeah. I mean, everything that can go wrong with a person, you can improve the system and try to fix those.
Yes,
When
yes.
this is a very silly question, but when do you think will be the first time that someone like wants to have surgery to like lose an arm and get a prosthetic or get a bionic one? Like how long do you think before people are willingly transitioning to have physical modifications to be bionic in a sense?
There will not be like one day that it has happened. Like right now, there are many cases that
Mm-hmm.
already want to amputate hand because of some reason
Yeah,
and to get bionic
like the
prosthesis.
nerves are firing too high or something like this, giving them pain or something. But I mean, like,
Yes,
say
if
like someone who's a rock climber goes, "Oh, I'd be so much better if I had like I guess with Hugh Herr, who has his like lower legs um, amputated from a rock climbing thing, and then he would build his own legs, and he would go rock climbing, and he could make himself 7 feet tall if he wanted to climb some route that would require that. But like, so that's kind of extreme. And he was saying that people would joke about wanting to do that and say that it wasn't fair because he had this ability to change his shape. Like he could be really short or really tall or have grips that would work really good on a certain type of rock or whatever it would be. But I guess when is there going to be like practical advantage in I guess I don't know.
I think
I guess what are
right
your
now,
thoughts on this area?
I think right now there are already advantages just for some
Mm-hmm.
very specialized implementations. Uh, and I think right now there are people who would like to go through amputation, uh, but to get this advantage,
Mm-hmm.
uh, even people that doesn't have disability or some state of body, but
Mm-hmm.
like crazy enough to do this. And yeah, just like radical uh, innovators, like
Mm-hmm.
someone that should be just want to be first here,
Yes.
and crazy enough for in this. I mean, like uh, crazy in sense of like uh, in
Not in a
sense of
bad way, but they're
very
innovative.
yeah,
They
very
wanna get
brave
there.
to go this way. Any like eh, and it doesn't matter like if he or she will even lose part of limb for this to make
Mm-hmm.
it possible. I think there are people like this right now, and maybe most of these people are stopped just by not understanding the uh, the roadmap there is not clear. Like
Yeah.
it's not like some service you
Yeah.
can apply for to cut the hand and to make the prosthesis. It's like
Yes.
too like it's long and complicated path, and the first step is to find in some crazy doctor that will amputate your hand, and
Oh my gosh.
I think to find
But it's
this kind of
incredibly
doctor.
unknown at that level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
So
So we're talking about the super, super early adapters. When do you think? So we have that. There's like that curve of population where it's like you have the early adapters or whatever, like the radicals, you could say, and then you have the early adapters, which is the next one. Then you have like the normal. Maybe I don't know what the definitions are, but at some point there's like the majority of people. When do you think the majority of people will consider that it's pragmatic to you like opt for a prosthetic limb rather than a biological one? Do you have it? Will it be like 20 years, 50 years? I
I
like, is
think
it on the order of that? Is it 2 years away, which would be freaking nuts? Well,
I think
I don't know.
like in 20 years, most of people will be totally fine and would like to get and will try to get electronics inside human bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and but still like to amputate limb to get the hand, it will there will be big obstacle like to go through this procedure
Yeah.
and to never come back to biological limb. But uh, in when limbs will give huge advantage in functionality in some spaces, and will give opportunity uh, to upgrade your body, because like it's not only about limbs, it's about everything. And when it will
Yeah.
start from electronics inside human body and you will be more and more augmented,
Mm-hmm.
um, why not to get rid of limb that is not so powerful, not so dexterous as robotic one?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will like majority of people can go this way
Mm-hmm.
without uh, hesitation, but it will be expensive way, and
Mm.
not one,
Especially
not
initially.
everyone,
Yeah.
yes, not everyone will can afford this. I think it will be not soon, and it will be like the second part of this century for sure.
Wow. It's nuts.
So it won't be fast just because of generations of people and uh, our mm, ho- how like kind of traditions of what is it
What's
like.
normal to us, or
Yes, yeah, like normality and uh
resistance
lo-
to change and these kinds of
y-
things. This is the way it's
yes,
always been. I think we should do it this way, kind of thing.
yes, trying to go
Gotcha.
like some traditional way when, so that will be still like uh mindset of people should change, and mindset will change much slower than
Then the capability
technology,
to. Mm.
than technology. And therefore, only therefore, like electronics that will be inside human body, and limbs that are more functional will be slower to penetrate the market.
Hmm. What do you think will be the progression into human bodies of electronics? Will it start with like digital passports, or like, I don't know, like a smart watch that's always embedded in me, or some like VR stuff or AR stuff, augmented reality stuff? Or what do you think will kind of like be the progression of technology into the human body?
I think the first popular mass uh, electronic implants will have several functions. It will have some AMG functionality, uh,
What's
to
AMG?
AMG, like
Oh, EMG,
electromyography.
electromyograph. Oh, I see.
Yes. So it will just give some ability to make commands to digital devices around,
Hmm.
uh, as we do, but inside human body. Uh, then it will detect some blood parameters, and maybe there will be some possibility to pay by this, or something like this,
Seems like that would
and
be an early thing.
maybe there will be uh, some how is it, uh, you know, to make people feel time. So
Oh,
imagine if you feel time just mm, by
so make
sending
time pass faster or
some
slower?
you are sending, you have trained to activate some motor units in your muscle, in one of your
Hmm.
muscles, and when you activate them, you get some feedback about what time is it now. uh,
Hmm.
there can be different ways to do
That'd be so
this.
cool. So you'd squeeze like your
Yeah.
fist, and then you'd feel buzz, 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 and it'd be like, oh, it's 3 o'clock, like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's yeah,
I would love that,
kind of this,
honestly.
but I don't think that we will need like bzz, bzz, bzz. I think there will
But
be bzz uh,
it'll
by
transmit that information to us in some
by
crazy way.
exact by exact quality, by exact different type of bzz for a different
Oh,
but
I would
it's
like that. That'd be super
uh,
cool.
yeah. So but digital passports, personally, I do not believe uh, in
Because of the
this.
political
Yeah, just
things
because
that,
of freedom, just because of
yes,
freedom. I
yeah, it's a
I
contentious
like
issue for sure.
yeah, we we are all proponents of freedom, and I
What
I
do you
don't.
worry about exactly with it? I haven't been following the issue too much. Is it like exclusion of people more easily based on like good bad citizen kind of thing?
I think that I just don't like the fact of uh, like the fact that it is possible to find out something about person without person will.
Uh,
I think society should be built by principles that do not let it happen. Yes, it will happen. We can't. mm, uh, we
Can't
can
stop it.
stop it. Yes, it will happen without any digital passports. Just webcam can find out who we are.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's nuts.
and yeah, and already it can, but we should try to postpone
Yeah.
this period if we can. Uh,
Or we
not
enter
for sure,
1984 or
not to
something.
facilitate it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Let's see. Um, Beginning to wrap up, what advice do you have for someone who is really excited about this area, but doesn't know how to get started in the area of bionics and prostheses and all sorts of things like this? How do you? What would you think for them?
If they, if do you mean like to participate in some team, so we I would, if I would like to become engineer in this area, uh, I would study physiology and electronics
Mm-hmm.
and data science and whatever I like more, and apply to companies that are like that I like,
Mm-hmm.
and apply for internship or something like this. We have got uh, we have got many applications from very strong engineers, and we hope to get many of them in our team. And we are uh, like there are hundreds of applications, and we
That's
want to grow
wonderful.
our team v- very much during next
Mm-hmm.
few years, and yeah, we are ready to hire many of them, and yeah, they should wait for a while, but that's a way that that, that works, and apply to
Mm-hmm.
companies you like. uh, Study electronics, physiology, and data science, and apply.
Hell yeah, awesome. Do you have any links or contact info you'd like to share with our listeners and watchers?
Visit our website esperbionics.com, and you can find me on my LinkedIn, uh, Dima Gazda.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And I'll include a link.
yeah, cool.
Awesome. Oh yeah, it's been great speaking with you.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you. Hope it will be interesting for uh, your community.
Awesome. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this conversation with Dima Gazda. Thank you again to our founding sponsor, Open Robotics. See you next time.